What is up, guys? Doing another themed character build, and today we're going to take a look at Sydney. Let's go ahead and take a look at the gear that we're packing. Bringing the bootleg rifle, the China Puff grenade launcher, the butterfly knife melee, incendiary grenade throwable, Anarchist perk deck, LBV, first aid kit deployable. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the mods on our weapons. Using the AML barrel, the bigger the better suppressor, accuracy modifier, auto fire custom, LED combo gadget, rubber grip, the solar sight, and the two-piece stock. And then for our China Puff, we're using a concealment modifier, the incendiary rounds, and the riot stock. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at our skills. Of course, using uppers aced, have a throwaway point and stable shot. Why do I have 30 skill points remaining? Oh, well, I feel kind of silly now. I already recorded the gameplay video, and I didn't realize I had 30 skill points remaining. Huh. Well, let's go ahead and talk about our partial build. We have Resilience aced, Die Hard aced, Shock and Awe basic, Bullseye, so we can get up to Iron Man, so we can increase our total amount of armor that we're utilizing. Scavenger aced, because I like that. Hardware Expert as a throwaway point, or I thought these were throwaway points, but apparently this build was only halfway done. Shockproof aced, Specialized Killing aced, and then got up to Frenzy aced in the Berserker tree. In hindsight, I suppose I would have put these remaining points probably into fully loaded in order to get even more ammo pickup from my weapons, and I probably also would have got aggressive reload, and just as my last point I would have put it in steady grip, and that's what the final build would have looked like, because I already recorded the gameplay without these skills. So, whoops. I feel silly, but I'm gonna go with it because it's funnier that way. Awesome. So let's go ahead and take a look at the gameplay. So I didn't know until, of course, I did the intro video that I was missing like 30 skill points on this build. So the build that you see somehow I didn't notice this in the loadout menu. You know, you can see that I have 30 skill points remaining down in the lower left-hand corner. I just wasn't paying any attention to it or whatever, but the build still worked pretty fine as far as I was concerned. Using the incendiary China Puff is a great way of area denial. Keep enemies, you know, immobile, while I'm also using the, oh shoot, is it the bootleg? Whatever. Using this gun to kill them. I guess it is the bootleg. I don't know why I just completely spazzed out on what the name of the gun is, but whatever. So it's not a, it's an okay assault rifle. It's got a really large mag. I find it better to think of it as an LMG as opposed to a assault rifle, because that's basically what it is, except it doesn't have a bipod. It even has similar stats, you know, to some of the other LMGs and stuff like that. Except it's not considered an LMG; it's considered an assault rifle, but it plays just like an LMG. Of course, you know, Anarchist, the perk deck, in and of itself, is just a really good perk deck. You've talked about it in several different videos. You know, there's not really a whole lot left to talk about it, other than the fact that it's good. You know, it's excellent, one of the best perk decks, particularly for one down. One of the strongest in the game. Lots of fun to use, you know, the whole 9 yards. Switchblade is fun to use and fun to play with, just because it's got the cool little charging animation. There's a few melees that have like interesting charge animations, like the let's see, the chain whip does. I know there's a few others. The Shadow Warrior 2 collaboration item. I can't remember what those are called, but it's basically the really sharp fidget spinners. That's what one of my friends calls them. It's just like the really sharp fidget spinners or whatever. It's hilarious. Anyway, There are a few others. But other than that, you know, having the unique little spinning animation, the Switchblade really doesn't have anything too special or unique going for it in terms of, you know, melee. They're really the only melees that stick out are the high damage ones, such as the chainsaw, the katana, the ice pick, the Rezkoye, stuff like that. And the melees that, you know, that are either poisoned, such as the kunai knife, or are have shock elements, such as the buzzer or the electric brass knuckles. Melee in this game can it's a tad lackluster unless you have, you know, the accompanying skills, which that's fine. Regardless. So the bootleg does have pretty decent ammo pickup in and of itself. However, just due to the number of shots that it takes and due to how inaccurate it is, it's definitely not suited for long-range combat. Definitely more of a CQC type weapon, or at least a medium-range type weapon. You could probably get a bit more accuracy out of it with the appropriate skills. Of course, you know, you can get things like, well, just things in the technician tree and, you know, some suppressor skills and things like that to increase its accuracy. But it's a lot of investment just to get it to a pretty decent working place. Of course, I also had Frenzy, Berserker, and all that good stuff so that I could increase its damage output a bit. Definitely wanted to make it as potent as I possibly could. Wanted to use the, you know, Incendiary China Puff, like I said earlier, as a way of area denial so I could keep enemies at bay. And of course having the, you know, just the icing on the cake with having the incendiary grenades, which are a lot of fun. So, Incendiary China Puff and Incendiary Grenades overall, I think, are kind of underutilized in a certain, well, maybe not underutilized, but I don't see them used very much in one-down play. But maybe that's just because I don't play enough public lobbies. Which is definitely a strong possibility, considering I really don't do public lobbies all that much. One thing I do like about the bootleg, though, is, might sound like maybe a silly thing to praise it for, but I do like the, I mean, I have it modded to where it looks like a Franken gun, but overall I like the design of the gun simply because it looks unique and not like a lot of other guns in the game. It has its own niche because it's like the only AR that's basically the same thing as an LMG. Which is really cool. Even if it's not like the strongest option in terms of assault rifles, it's still one that you can get to work. And I find it fun just for, you know, that aspect alone. I was getting a little squirmish on ammo here. Starting to run pretty dry. Both in my China Puff and of course now the bootleg is being completely out. But some enemies clustering in front of the doors for me here allowed me to, you know, go ahead and pick up a bit of ammo that I was in desperate need of. Or at least once, you know, I let my invulnerability grace period recharge. Also having the incendiary grenades helped a bit with that as well. Getting stuck on the shield there for a second. So I managed to cap off my China Puff and get pretty close to capping off my bootleg. It was only like 41 rounds away or whatever. It's pretty nice. Like I said, the ammo pickup on it is generally pretty good. Accidentally fired the grenade launcher into the door. I will. Yeah, incendiary grenades definitely very useful in high step particularly come to mind, or things like rats, bank heist, just any sort of heists where you're going to be sitting in one place for extended periods of time. Hawks and Revenge. Just different things like that. It'd be very useful just to lock out the area directly, you know, leading to the heisters or whatever. Just to keep enemies at bay and keep them from overwhelming the room. I actually started to get a little bit of lag here, I guess, due to all the damage ticks that were happening. All the numbers that were popping up on my HUD. I thought it was really amusing. I feel like I haven't ran into any dozers yet at this point. I might have ran into some earlier, but I don't really remember. To be quite honest, I've already forgot. I'm trying to see if there's one on the ground right there in front of me. That's just a big mess of bodies, so I can't tell. That was one thing I was concerned about with this build, though, is how effective it was going to be versus dozers. Of course, the bootleg was going to have to be my go-to tool for taking them out. And the incendiary China Puff, it wasn't going to be very useful in terms of knocking off the faceplate. It could do some chip damage over time if they were standing in the fire and like they were outside the door or something, but overall, of course, the bootleg was going to be my only main way of getting rid of them. I wanted to try to melee kill this guy, but then he almost killed me, so I forget about it. Oh, never mind. I ran back out there and did it like a real man, or like a real woman, I guess because I'm playing Sydney. Trying to get an idea of where the enemies were spawning from, so I can go ahead and get a move on and get this money bag moved out to the van. Didn't seem like there were enemies out here, except for this cloaker that I could hear from around the corner. And bada bing, bada boom. I'm gonna go ahead and take a quick look at my stats here. Alright guys, that was my Sydney Anarchist build. And as usual, thank you guys so much for watching.